here, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to play Champagne Problems off of Taylor's Evermore album. And I want to give a quick shout out and thank you to my patrons over on my Patreon page for voting on this song as this month's patron picks. So if you want a little bit of voting power in the order that you see me teach all of these Taylor songs on this channel, then make sure to check it out. I will link it in the description box down below. Here's a quick overview of everything I'll be covering in this tutorial today, and with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, so you only need to know 4 different chord shapes to play through this entire song, and we're going to start with our C major, which looks like this and sounds like this. And by the way, if you don't know how to read these chord charts you're seeing on screen, I do cover how to do that in my free beginner series right here on YouTube, so make sure to check that out right here. The next chord is our G major. We also have our A minor. And then the last chord shape is our F major. Of course, if you're somebody who struggles with playing bar chords like this, you can also replace this chord shape with your F over C. It will change a few things in these songs, such as your picking patterns and stuff, but I will go over all of that when that section of the tutorial comes up. But yeah, anyways, these are the only 4 chord shapes you need to know to play through this song. Alright guys, so go ahead and pause the video and take as much time as you need to really memorize these chord shapes, as well as practice transitioning back and forth between them, because it'll make learning the rest of the song so much easier. And if chord transitions is something you're currently struggling with, I do have a practice with me playlist here on YouTube, so I'll link that in the corner for those of you who need it. And remember, if bar chords are hard for you, you can also check out my bar chord mini series, or you can also replace the F with your F over C chord. But basically, those are the only chords that we need to know to play this whole song. So once you get those under your belt, we can go ahead and talk about the strumming pattern that I would recommend for this song. Alright guys, as always, if you are brand new to playing guitar, or you're somebody who struggles with playing guitar while singing at the same time, the first thing I would suggest you do is to bring up the song and go ahead and play through it with a single down strum on each chord change as you sing through the song. And you want to take this time to really get used to what word or what syllable you're on whenever those chords are changing. So here's a quick example of what that would look like. You booked the night train for a reason, so you could sit there in this hurt. Alright, so that's just a really quick example, but you would essentially want to do that for the entire song and just really make sure you know where those chords are changing. And this is actually something you do right now if you check out my Patreon page. I do have this entire guide available to download and print out, so I'll make sure to leave that link in the description box. But once you're used to this pattern and know where to expect those chord changes, then we can go ahead and add to this to make more of a full strumming pattern for this song. Alright guys, so my recommendation for this song would be to finger pick the song. However, if you are more at a strumming level, this is the one that I would recommend. As you can see at the top of the screen, we're just going back and forth between our down and our up strums in an 1/8 note count. So it's going to sound like this. We have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Alright, super simple and straightforward. This song is usually played on the piano, so it does kind of have that like back and forth rhythm going. So this is the closest that I think sounds like the song. So essentially what you want to do is play this pattern through 1 time per chord throughout the song. So on our C chord we have down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. To our G chord, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and A minor. Super simple, but it is pretty close to the piano. So if you applied that to the song, it would sound like this. Book the night train for a reason, so you could sit there in this. Alright, and again, you could apply this for the entire song. So for the chorus, dropped your hand while dancing, left you out there standing. Also for the bridge, you could use this as well. Your Midas touch on the Chevy door, November flush and your flannel cure. This door was once a madhouse, made a joke, well it's made for me how. Alright, so So there is one thing that I think that is a little different with this pattern because it's so back and forth. It is a lot of ringing of the strings. So if that's something that you feel like is bothering you, something you can try is on the down strums, you can just try to pick just the bass string. So for example, in our C chord, the lowest string you pick is this A string. So if you replace all the down strums with just that string, it does kind of give it more of that bass heavy feeling that's pretty reminiscent of the piano version. So you would do that for all of the chords. So for G, it would be the low E string. A minor would be the A string again. And then F would be the E string. So that can be a little bit more on the intermediate side to be able to just pick one string at a time. However, if that's something that you want to try out, I do think it kind of sounds a little closer to the piano that way. By the way, if you're doing your F over C chord, you would actually pick the A string. For that like little bass note. Of course, this whole thing is totally optional, but it's just a way to kind of make the strumming just a little bit more similar to the piano, and it kind of, I think, makes the bass line stand out a little better, which is more similar to the original song. But basically, that is my suggestion for strumming. Like I said, the chord order is the same for the whole song, and you want to just apply this pattern through one time per chord, and you can use this down and up eighth note strumming pattern to play through the whole song. All right, guys, so again, go ahead and pause the video and take as much time as you need to get used to this strumming rhythm. It is pretty straightforward on paper, but it can start to sound a little muddy once you start playing with it, so you really have to keep track of what beat you're on. Again, try that little bass picking technique if you can. I think it does sound a little closer to the original that way. But like I said earlier, I think this song actually sounds the best when you finger pick it, so I would love to show you guys the finger picking pattern that I came up with for this song. Hey, really quick! In addition to the printable guide we've been looking at, did you know I also offer customizable backing tracks, polls for what songs you want to learn next, and even video chats if you're having trouble? You can unlock all these perks and more if you become a patron, which helps me grow my channel and make more videos just like this one. Or if Patreon's not your thing, you can still help me out a lot by giving me a thumbs up and leaving a comment below to help me reach more people in YouTube's recommendations. It only takes a second but makes a huge difference. So thanks so much, and let's get back into it. Alright, so for any of you who are new to my channel, I'll go ahead and go through the basics of the finger picking. First of all, I do like to number my strings from 6 on the low E string, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all the way to the high E string, which is 1. So I will be referring to these strings as numbers for the rest of this section of this tutorial. And then the second thing to go over is your right hand, or your picking hand. Basically, what I want you to do is your pointer, middle, and ring finger are all going to stay on these bottom 3 strings the whole time. The G, the B, and the E, okay? And your thumb is going to be the only finger that moves strings, and basically you're going to move it based on what chord you're playing because you want to cover the bass note or the root note, okay? So with this picking pattern, what I want you to do is with your thumb, you're going to pick that bass or root note. Then you're going to take your other 3 fingers and at the same time pick all 3 of those bottom strings. Alright? And we're going to go back and forth. So we have thumb, rest, thumb, rest, thumb, rest, thumb, rest. So the pattern is going to be the same as the strumming pattern. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? And then same thing with the rest of the chords. So for G, again, move your thumb to that 6th string, but the pattern's the same. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. These 3 fingers are still in the bottom 3 strings. A minor, your thumb moves back to the A string. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then your F is back to the 6th string. So if it's easier for you to think of as numbers, we've got 5 and then 3, 2, 1 at the same time. That's what the parentheses means, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, G, 6, and 3, 2, 1. A minor, 5, 3, 2, 1. F, 6, 3, 2, 1. Alright, and you can apply this picking pattern again for the whole song. So here's an example of our verse. You booked the night train for a reason, so you could sit there in this hurt. into the chorus. Dropped your hand while dancing, left you out there standing, crestfallen on the landing, champagne problems. All right? And again, it goes through the whole song, including the bridge as well. Your Midas touch on the Chevy door, November flush and your flannel cure. This storm was once a madhouse. I made a joke, well, it's made for me how. Alright? So that's how you can play the picking pattern for the entire song. Now, like I said, if you are opting to do the F over C chord instead of your barred F, it is going to change your right hand a little. So now what I want you to do for your F over C is your thumb's going to be on the 5th A string. But instead of these 3 fingers being on the bottom 3 strings, you actually want to move them each up 1 string, okay? So we have 5 and then 4, 3, 2 at the same time. And this is only if you're not doing the barred F and instead doing F over C. Okay, same rhythm, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So it may be a little bit trickier with picking because you do have to move all of your fingers around for that F over C, but otherwise the actual pattern and everything is pretty similar to the rest of the chords. So that is how I would recommend finger picking this entire song. All right, guys, again, go ahead and pause the video and take as much time as you need to look over this finger picking pattern and really get used to it, because you can apply it for the entire song. And I think this is the most accurate way of making it sound like the piano original version. But once you come back from this, I actually do have one last little thing I wanted to show you, which is the cute little tab that's super easy to do. So if you have somebody to play with, I think it's really cool if one of you guys plays on top of the other. So let's go ahead and zoom in and I can show you how to do it. All right, guys, so this tab section, the whole section is going to be totally optional, but I do think it sounds kind of cute. It kind of gives a little bit of that illusion of the champagne bubbles. So basically it's going to sound like this. Okay, that's the whole thing. What I'm doing there is I'm taking my pick and I'm picking the G string open. And then as it's ringing, I'm hammering on the 2nd fret with my middle finger. All right, so you only pick it once. So that's what that H is, it's a hammer on. Okay. By the way, if you don't know how to read tabs, which is what you're seeing at the top of the screen, I do have a video on that as well, so I'll make sure to link that in the corner. But basically we have open, hammer on 2, then you go to your next string over, our B string. You're gonna have your index finger on the 1st fret. Again, we're gonna hammer on with our ring finger to the 3rd fret. So that's the B string. So we have G string, then we have B string, and then you finish it out with a open E string. And that's the whole little tab, and it kind of just repeats itself throughout the song. And my recommendation is, if you're going to play it this way, just keep your index finger down on the B string on that 1st fret. You want to just kind of keep it down there the whole time, because it'll be easier to do the hammer-ons that way, because it's going to already be there. All right. So if you wanted to, you could totally add that in, you know, it's kind of like in the intro and then throughout some of the breaks and stuff like that. So just a cute little thing that you can add in there if you want to. All right, guys, so for one last time, go ahead and pause the video and look over this tab if you need longer to practice it. Again, it's totally optional. I just think it's a really fun thing to add in there, especially if you have someone else to play with. One of you guys could do this little tab, and I think it sounds super close to the original if you do that. But basically, once you have this down, we can go ahead and put everything we've learned in this tutorial together to play through the whole song.
Train for a reason, so you could sit there in this
Alright guys, if you want to play through the rest of this song with me, then make sure to check out my main channel, Forever Faithful, because I do have the full play along version over there. I'll make sure to link that right here for those of you who are interested. Again, I do have all of the printouts with chords and lyrics and everything like that in my Patreon page, which I'll link below. But basically, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope that it helped, and I will see you in my next one coming out soon. Bye!